It is generally recognized that children progress through certain stages of development in their art making. Each stage may be identified by certain characteristics that show up repeatedly in their artwork. These stages have been linked to chronological age. Understanding the stages of artistic development can help educators become more effective art teachers. Just like we develop other skills like walking and talking, we also develop artistic skills in much the same way. In 1947, Dr. Victor Lowenfeld published a book called Creative and Mental Growth. In this book, he identifies the developmental stages of artistic development. It's important to note that these changes don't occur abruptly. Rather, they are often marked by small substages or points in which children may exhibit characteristics of two stages in one drawing. It is also important to mention that a number of factors, both internal and external, affect a child's artistic development. No two children develop exactly the same. These stages are a generalization to help guide educators in their expectations of development. The first stage is known as the scribble stage. It typically occurs in children ages 1 to 3 years of old. Children at this stage are engaged in the physical activity of drawing. They enjoy the movement of making marks. At this stage, there's no connection between the marks and the representation of any objects. Toward the ends of this stage, children may begin to give marks names, but this stage is mainly focused on the enjoyment of the movement of their arms and making the marks. Stage 2 is known as the pre-symbolic age. It generally occurs in ages 3 to 4 years old. At this stage of artistic development, children are beginning to see a connection between the shapes they draw and the physical world around them. Circles and lines may be described as people or objects. Children are starting to make a connection between communicating through their drawings. Stage 3 is known as the symbolic stage. This stage usually occurs around ages 5 to 6 years old. Children have clearly assigned shapes that they are trying to communicate. They often have developed a defined order to their drawings. There is a clear separation between the sky and the ground, and objects are often placed on the ground, usually at the bottom of the paper, instead of floating on the paper. Objects of greater importance to the child are usually drawn larger than objects of lesser importance. The fourth stage is the realism stage. This usually develops in children ages 9 to 10 years old. Overlapping and a sense of spatial relationships becomes more evident. Children become more concerned with details and realistic representations of objects. Frustration is often a common occurrence at this stage as children become more critical of their own work. Children will often decide how they feel about drawing during this stage and decide whether or not they want to continue to develop their drawing skills. Any skill level can be attained with practice. This stage is the most critical to the development of an artist. It is exceptionally important to encourage students at this stage.